What does an entrepreneur do? Most entrepreneurs have no idea, most likely. In fact, I couldn't even spell entrepreneur until I are one. Today, we're going to break down what an entrepreneur does and the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make so that you don't have to make them too. Hello and welcome back to Midwest Mindset, the podcast that makes marketing easy to understand and simple to do. I'm Matt Tompkins of Two Brothers Creative, where we believe that every business deserves affordable and effective marketing. You give us 30 minutes, we give you 30 days of content. Check it out at thecontentbox.com. And now I would like to introduce the other brother.
Who's that?
His name is Benjamin Michael. That's Ben's real name.
That's my middle. You're giving
name.
away. Why don't you just give everyone my social security number while you're at it?
Do you have two names?
505-06-2193.
That's not it. You got one number wrong.
I know. It was Meyerton's. I gave away Meyerton's. He's screwed now. He does not have an identity.
It's probably not even his real one.
Probably not. Yeah, he's like a CIA spy, I'm pretty sure. Our producer Meyerton. But Ben, Michael Tompkins, Mike Tompkins, Mike, can I call you Mike?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what's
Mike
happening.
Tompkins, and I'll be Wayne because that's my middle name. Wayne Tompkins.
Okay.
Mike and Wayne. Wayne and Mike.
All right.
Why don't you introduce everybody, because I feel like you're working on all these jokes in this like stand-up comedy. I feel like Austin Anderson here, he's a stand-up comedian. I really want to see if your material holds up. So Ben, I'm putting you on the spot. Introduce the rest of us.
I don't have any jokes. I've never done stand-up in my life. But okay. In the run of the board back there, we got the one and only Meyerton McHugh. Meyerton McHugh, he looks like the kind of guy who apologizes during sex a lot.
Oh, he does.
He does that. He does it. Then when he's sitting to...
I think he does. He apologizes before too, like
right.
Very profuse.
Preemptive
I'm sorry
apologies.
this is going to happen to you.
I'm so sorry.
Sitting to my right, we've got the one and only Austin Anderson, the new addition to the TBC crew. Austin, you look like the kind of guy who has a closet full of overalls.
Oh,
is that true? Am I anywhere near?
I have one pair.
One pair of overalls.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to be honest. Austin Anderson has one of the most unique approaches to style I think I've seen in a while. Because like today he's got it's like a Miami Vice meets biker meets Midwestern Idaho cowboy. Retiree.
Like yeah,
it's kind of what it is.
And I bought these jeans at the Goodwill when my wife forced me to go there on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
I feel like the shirt, like from the waist up, it's like I'm an Idaho potato farmer who retired early, invested well in Bitcoin. And then the boots are like I'm a biker, like I rode here on my Harley. But then the hair, it's just like full Miami Vice action.
Yeah.
So well done is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Well done.
Yeah, well done. And then to my left, we have the owner of Two Brothers Creative.
Oh, shit, don't let people know that.
The one who started it all, the kind of guy, you look like the kind of guy, speaking of potatoes, you look like the kind of guy who eats a lot of potatoes with nothing else on them, just whole potatoes. Like you eat them like an apple.
Oh,
Raw?
wow.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy you look like.
Yeah, okay. That's it. I mean, I can see how I look like that guy. I do eat a lot of potatoes, though. Mashed potatoes, baked potatoes. And I don't eat them raw. Side note, my head, when I shave it, it looks like a lumpy potato. So
maybe you're turning into a potato.
I'm probably, yeah. I remember in high school, we did like mohawks and then we shaved our heads and everybody thought I had like some really bad disease for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like, oh my gosh, son, you shouldn't be out at the Walmart. You should be home resting. So today we're talking about what does an entrepreneur do? And if you don't know what an entrepreneur is, well, you're not alone. I don't know if this is actually defined for people who get into business. People like to say I'm an entrepreneur, entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue. But what is an entrepreneur and what does an entrepreneur actually do? And we're going to dive into the top 9 mistakes that entrepreneurs most often make so that hopefully you don't have to make them too. So I want to hear from you guys though. What does an entrepreneur do? When I say entrepreneur, it's like, hey, Bob, you hear Bob? He's an entrepreneur now. What's Bob the entrepreneur doing, Ben?
I think Bob doesn't have a job. That's what I used to think before I started working here. When someone's like, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur," it's like somebody saying I'm a life coach. It's not. It's like, okay, well, you probably don't have a job.
You don't have to get a license,
You probably are
certified or a degree.
You probably made a lot of bad investments.
Oh, so you didn't go to college.
Right.
An entrepreneur is really just you have a job that you can't get fired from. That's really all it is.
But now that I know and I've met many entrepreneurs, the first thing I think of is if you're a successful entrepreneur, just hardworking, driven, business-minded thinker.
Business-minded thinker. That was my high school band.
Yeah,
actually. It's interesting though, because all those things you mentioned, the hard worker, the long hours, we think of those first, but those are not at all related or connected to what defines a successful entrepreneur. We've mentioned like 51% of all businesses fail in their first 3 to 5 years. Only 6% will ever reach $1 million a year in recurring or gross revenue for a year, which are some staggering stats.
Yeah, I was blown away to hear that.
Everybody works hard. Not everybody. I mean, like our cousin Adam, he's pretty lazy. He's pretty lazy.
He's doing his thing.
He's just chilling. Out in California. But the hard work isn't enough to do it. So Austin, for you, what does an entrepreneur? What defines an entrepreneur?
Someone who is trying to get people to give them money and then crying.
So like a like a carny, I think, is what you're describing.
Yeah, I think it's I don't know, there's the freedom aspect of it, kind of like a free spirit or free bird.
Yeah.
Where you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. Like you have a vision and, maybe you've worked at other places and didn't quite fit. And you're like, no, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this my own. I see it working a better way.
I think
that was beautiful.
That was like poetry. I kind of lost my train of thought. I think entrepreneurs, this isn't a mistake on our list, but I would say I would define it as what I most commonly see. Entrepreneurs try to be everything everywhere all at once. Yeah. They try and micromanage. They're too emotionally involved in every single decision. And I think that's a big contributing factor why people work really, really hard and long hours, but most businesses don't succeed. Most of them fail. And so most entrepreneurs are actually solopreneurs. It's like I don't know what the statistic is, like 80 or 90% of the entrepreneurs in the United States are solopreneurs. So it's just them, solo. And you look at like real estate agents that talk about a self-proclaimed solopreneur. The average salary of a real estate agent though is like 17 grand a year and the age is 60. It's 65% women. So we have these like misconceptions of what is an entrepreneur? What do they do? And we see entrepreneurs make these mistakes left and right. I think when I looked this up on the Google, I don't know if you've heard of this thing. I think that's how you say
Google?
The Google. It's either that or it was my face or face space. One of those my grandma was telling me about. So here's the list of like typical responsibilities for an entrepreneur. Planning and directing daily operations. Having new ideas. Yeah. I mean,
I can do that.
Yeah. Ben does that every day.
I like the second one. The first one is, I think, difficult for a lot of people.
Managing conflicts, learning supervision, sales, and marketing, or overseeing supervision, sales, and marketing. So your entrepreneur though, because there's different roles. You have like your visionary integrator, depending on if you're EOS or what operating system you're looking at. You have, I think they call it an orchestrator, or what's the conductor?
Maestro.
A maestro. There you go.
An opus.
I think an entrepreneur though, you have to be, first and foremost, you have to be willing to eat crow, not literally, but like you have to be humble to be able to recognize your own flaws.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree like that is a commonality we see with a lot of entrepreneurs, and why a lot of entrepreneurs struggle is because they don't want to face reality or the truth and think, okay, you know what? I need to hire somebody who's better at this than me and let them take the lead on this.
You got to do some introspection and be self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
and know what you're good at and what you're
Did you
not.
take mushrooms before this? I feel like you're very chill and wise today all of a sudden.
I think it's just towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm like
really mellowed out. I think in any profession, being able to take criticism and feedback and learn and grow and not let it break you down, having a thick skin, you're going to succeed. And that's what entrepreneurs have to do. I mean, you fail probably more than the average person in most jobs, but not being able to get back up and keep going and build from that is huge. But that applies to any profession or anything in life, really.
It's just on a different scale. With when you own a business or you're on your own, if you're a solopreneur or you have employees, it is a different scale or different level of just pure terror that you have to compartmentalize on a consistent, hour by hour daily basis.
Yeah, you're right about that, because you really do. Like if you're like, oh, I got all these expenses I have to pay coming up, but where is the money going to come? Like you have to put that in a box somewhere in your mind. Yep. Otherwise you will not sleep. Mm-hmm. You'll just be in a constant state of panic. You got to be like, all right, it's going to come, but I'm going to put this in my mind where I can't think about it.
It's kind of like how syphilis killed Al Capone, right? I mean, we all know this story very well.
I didn't
right?
see this coming.
So Al Capone had this approach to when he was told he has syphilis, right? And it will kill you, or it'll eat away your brain, right? Slowly. Or maybe it was chlamydia. It was one of those bad
syphilis.
ones. It was syphilis. Okay.
Right. Who knew that it wasn't a bullet that would kill him, but his own dick?
So Al Capone was just in denial. So he's in prison and they're like, hey, we want to give you treatment. We want to give you penicillin for the syphilis you have that's going to likely kill you. And he's like, nope, not going to think about it. Yeah. Not gonna think about it. There's nothing to see here. And he just was like, deaf, blind, ignorant, intentionally, where he's like, I'm not even gonna pretend like what they're telling me is actually happening. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs have the Al Capone syphilis syndrome.
Because it was a curable
I'm trying to get that
disease.
Hashtag going, by the way.
At that time, it was curable. Correct?
It was curable, yeah. They had penicillin.
And that's a good.
It was an easy
analogy.
fix. It was like a shot and you're good. Yeah, but a lot of entrepreneurs have the Al Capone syphilis syndrome. Hashtag. And
that's a great book title.
I'm gonna start doing that afterwards instead of going hashtag before. I'm just gonna do it afterwards. Yeah. Al Capone syphilis syndrome hashtag. But a lot of entrepreneurs have that fault. It's like a fault or a flaw that they have where I'm just gonna be in denial. I'm going to be stubborn about it. I'm gonna pretend like, okay, I'm looking at my bank account. There's one side of that where it's like, okay, well, I don't know how I'm gonna get an extra 10 grand to make payroll this month in 10 days. And I'm just going to ignore it entirely. Or you could be like, okay, I got to compartmentalize this. I can't ignore it. Let's follow up with some invoices and make sure people are paid up and see what's going on with our cash flow. And so that Al Capone syphilis syndrome hashtag it's a real business killer though. Both, metaphorically and literally. Like if you have syphilis and you're refusing to treat it, not going to be good if you're an entrepreneur either.
Yeah, your business will fail.
Yes.
Along with your life.
And along with your sex life. Probably not going to do very well either. So we're talking about some of the mistakes. So an entrepreneur, though, I feel like is the leader of the organization. They are the face, the core. The core values stem from them. And you look at any company, doesn't matter how big or small it is, even if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneurs at the top are what set the tone for the entire company. And I'm a big believer in this. Like you can't really get mad at somebody who's on your team for making a mistake because they're just following what you're doing. So if you come in as an entrepreneur and you're like hungover every day and you're phoning it in, or you're not going through the proper processes, procedures, and just having systems in place, well, your employees, your staff, your team, they're going to follow what you're doing. So It's a reflection of the leadership. So I think the most important thing that an entrepreneur does is effectively build a team and lead the team, right? Getting those like A players, those top talent people that you want on your team, and then leading them. And leadership is not easy. Like most people who think they're like a good leader, it's this ready, aim, fire approach, which is not how you should shoot a gun because it's very dangerous.
Yeah, you'll get in trouble.
Yeah.
He'll do something bad.
Ben does that outside on the highway all the time with his cap gun.
Shoot at birds.
Yeah, it is.
That's why you go on those walks around the building.
Yes.
Pow, mm-hmm.
He gets 12 caps per day that he gets to go fire off.
I like the smell.
Yeah.
Sulfur.
He goes into your office. Can I get another cap?
Ben, that's your 17th cap today, buddy. All right, so let's take a look at some of the top 9 mistakes that entrepreneurs make. Failure to plan. What was that A-Team where he's like, I love it when a plan comes together, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a quote, I'll probably butcher it. It's one of my favorite, but a goal without a plan is just a wish. And I feel like that hopium drug we talk about, like hope and just hoping it'll fix it, or wishing, it's not going to do anything. Might make you feel a little better in the moment, but you really have to have a plan. And doesn't mean you have to have like everything laid out from day one or a business plan from day one. But if you're not having some sort of strategy organization, that's a big one.
I had a sales manager in radio, and she was great. And her line, and it always stuck with me, and I don't know if she got it from somewhere else, but it was, make the plan, work the plan. That's,
right.
That's simple to follow.
I mean, a plan is like,
through.
It's a checklist. It's a system. It's just, it doesn't have to be super complicated. It's just, okay. When you go to the grocery store, you go with a grocery list, right? Shopping list.
Not me.
Unless he just wings it.
Then he just goes there and buys meatloaf supplies.
You probably go there when you're really hungry too, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst
$300 worth.
That's why the other day it was like I was up till midnight making meatloaf.
Yeah. Meatloaf and mashed potatoes at midnight.
I was trying to figure it out because your wife shared how much you spend monthly on groceries, and I am struggling to do the math. But if you're going there when you're hungry and without a list, that makes sense. That makes total sense. She shared a lot about your personal life, Ben, and we're going to get to that in future episodes. Another mistake is all talk, no action. So this is the false bravado, right?
So many people are guilty of that.
Entrepreneurs are notorious for their egos. I mean, we all have an ego, right? But entrepreneurs, by and large, it's a confidence game. So you have to kind of fake it till you make it to a degree, but you have to be able to back it up at least somewhat at some point, right?
Right. Yeah. There are so many people that fake it, but then never back it up.
Yeah.
And then you just realize that, oh, you're an insane person.
Yeah. That's a sociopath is what that is. Yeah. It's a sociopath.
There's a lot.
Not asking for help is another mistake. How do you feel about leaders who ask for help? Do you respect them more? Do you respect them less?
I respect them more.
Right.
Yeah.
I respect everyone more if they're willing to ask for help.
And not even just asking for help, but sharing that you're struggling with something or that you need a break or you need, whatever it might be. Yeah,
and not having the Superman syndrome.
Yes.
Where you just think that you can handle everything.
It's much better than the syphilis
syndrome. Yeah. Yes. Hashtag. And I have the Superman syndrome. It's just where I walk around in red Spanx. It's not really a Superman outfit. It's just kind of my thing. It's my Tuesdays.
Yeah,
right?
We'd be bothered by it, but you look good in it. So.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks. I mean, I spend like 4 hours manscaping just to be able to pull off those red Spanx. And
I was shocked to find it was painted.
Yeah, the tube socks I painted with spray paint to look red. So, impatience. This is a big one. Like shiny object syndrome is a notorious virus within the entrepreneurial community, and not having the patience to give things the time that they need, that are due. That is a big mistake. And it's really hard because you get very passionate and excited about things and you want to go. And I'm horrible at this, but you end up saying yes to too many things or too quickly. And then, one day Ben's going to just have a total meltdown and really just kind of snap at you in a way.
All those caps.
He just started shooting his cap gun at me in the office and was saying curse words I don't even know. I've never heard before. I don't know where they came. I don't know if they're English or what, but
when I'm mad, I start making up curse words.
What's a good curse word that you made up?
Blubba.
Blubba? Yeah. Mine is Dave Nabity. That's a good one. Like Dave Nabity. Like that's
a person, Matt. That's the name of a person.
Yeah, but that's a good
curse word, it's a good curse word though. I feel like if I was Dave Nabity, I would totally take that and own that, right?
I take Dave Nabity's name in vain all the time.
If you're wondering who Dave Nabity is, by the way, that's a local almost politician. He was on the city council in Omaha, Nebraska, where we're based out of, but I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, he's, I know he drives a convertible and he loves that thing.
What kind? Is it a Chrysler?
Like a VW 93? Bug or something like one of those, like kind of, not a normal one, but like it's still it's a convertible.
Yeah.
No. Another mistake, hiring friends. So I guess we need to make some cuts.
Yeah, you hired your brother.
I know.
I hired family and 2 friends.
Yeah. Family, 2 friends, and 3 strangers from Mexico. That sounds like a
sitcom
there. Yeah. Hiring friends is tough though too. And there's this exercise you can do with your leadership team where you have everybody write down, put a name and assign a role. And sometimes there'll be like 6, 7 people in this meeting and there's only 3 names that have been written down on all the sheets. So you got 4 people sitting there with no designated responsibilities. And that happens a lot when you are just hiring friends. And it's really hard to have blunt conversations because it's a business. It's not personal. It's not a family, right? I mean, family is grandma. You can't fire grandma for, ruining the mashed potatoes. I know Ben tried.
You can push her down the stairs.
You can, yes. And Ben tried. Fortunately, she had one of those electric chairs that caught her and took her all the way down nice and slow. So it worked out. She was notorious. It was notorious
the
Nola.
best. I don't even know what your grandma looks like, but my visual was awesome.
Our grandma Nola is like, if there was a picture of a grandma in the dictionary, it would be her. Like, it was just, next to like homemade milkshakes, mashed potatoes, fried chicken, and the best hugs ever. That's notorious Nola right there. But hiring friends is tough, and you really only want to do that or work with family if you know for sure you can manage it and it can work. And Ben and I have worked together for like 15 years. Like, Ben just can't get enough.
I think where that goes wrong is if people, like a friend needs a job, but they don't have any experience for whatever you're going to hire them for, or training or passion. And you're just like, oh yeah, you need a job. Yeah, come do this. That's where I've seen it go bad.
And I think because I thought about this when you came on board, because, we've known each other for quite a while, doing the TV show and everything. And so it was like, okay, well, I know he's capable. We're friends, so we know each other. So on the flip side, like, there's trust. So you can trust a friend, right? Most friends, some are just jerks. But I had to look at it and say, okay, but can I separate, like, in the workday, like, can we separate it where it's like, okay, so then there's that separation of, I don't know, not powers, but like separation of like roles or responsibilities where it's still work. We still got to like have quality standards and critique each other constructively. But having a friend that you can trust, or a brother you can sometimes trust, who occasionally steals your left sock when you're taking a nap.
Not all I've stolen.
It is a plus. It's just, you got to kind of know. It's such a weird gray area.
Yeah.
It's kind of like dating your fourth cousin. It's like, why did it take 4 cousins to figure out you shouldn't be dating
I think it comes with age and maturity.
Yeah.
Don't you? Like the older.
For sure.
That
don't hire your best friend when you're in your 20s.
Yeah, no. Then you guys will probably both just party all the time, and the business will go away.
I mean, yeah, especially if you were in a fraternity, just coming out of college with, that would be the recipe for disaster. Forgetting the customer is a big mistake. And I think this is like maybe one of the biggest on the whole list, because that's what the entire business should be focused on. And we forget about the customer. When I say we, I just mean entrepreneurs in general, a lot, like way too much. We don't focus on the customer. We focus on ourselves or the business. And so forgetting the customer is a big mistake. This one is fearing theft. Fearing theft? I don't even understand what that means. Maybe I read my handwriting wrong.
I scribbled that on after I
did you
saw
write
Ben steal a bunch of coffee.
Is that feral theft? Did you write feral theft again on here? We're not talking about that. Last couple here. So perfectionism is another one. And this is one I kind of hate this word, because people always say this in interviews. Like, what's your downside, or what's your weakness? Well, I'm a perfectionist.
They say that it's a weakness.
Yeah.
I struggle with it, but I don't know. It's weird. You want it to be the best, but like then it can just waste your time, and it's kind of hard to.
There's like I don't forget who said it, but it's like, fuck it, ship it, or something like that. Or like maybe it was Jewel. I think it was the company Jewel. So maybe it's not that great, but I think they adapted.
But actually, I like that.
It's like, fuck it, ship it. If it's at like 70%, get it out into the world. That is a mistake we see a lot, especially with like websites and graphic design. And
you
production.
can go down forever. Because it can never be perfect. You can always find like a mistake here or there. So that 70% thing's a thing.
Nobody wants perfect.
Right.
Like imperfection is actually what people seek. Yeah. And authenticity. The last mistake here is leading sales. It's like leading sales, knowing how to actually lead your sales team, because without sales, your business isn't going to grow. It's not going to succeed. And it doesn't matter how great all these other mistakes are that you avoided. If you're not bringing revenue in, you're not going to be in business for very long. And I think sales is such an important and old school tactic. Like cold calling people is still the top way to like drum up new business and sales. but not a lot of people want to do it or learn how to do it right. So there you have it. Those are the mistakes. Ben,
okay, we'll just avoid those.
Yeah,
we'll just avoid those. I like how those, and they really are the hardest ones to become disciplined in.
Yeah,
I
discipline
mean,
is really, if you want to pick an extra one, a bonus.
Yeah,
discipline is the biggest challenge in business because it is so hard to be consistent, and with the boring shit that's like no fun. Like, this isn't sexy to do my TPS reports, like, come on, I don't want to do P&Ls all day long. And it is important. So having discipline. Speaking of discipline, that is our episode. Is we gotta, I don't know, was that a good segue?
We gotta wrap it up.
We gotta wrap it up. We're going to stay disciplined and not go over our 27-minute mark here today on the show. So thank you so much for joining us here on Midwest Mindset. You can learn more about us at thecontentbox.com, where if you give us 30 minutes, we give you 30 days of content, plus Ben gives you a shoulder rub.